First opportunity on National Signing Day to talk with Corey Dennis, the new quarterbacks coach for the Ohio State Fighting Buckeyes. And I was playing a game with myself. It was called, Is That Guy a Coach or a Recruit? Because that guy looks young, man. I know he has 2 kids. What is he, like 27? 27? How old is he? He looks younger than you. You've kind of got it. You're like, you're aging very quickly on this beat. Nathan, we had an opportunity to talk with Corey Dennis at the podium, and then he came out and talked with reporters some more after that. Just like, what was your vibe of this guy? And then I'll give my vibe later.
You know, I think it's a guy that realizes probably what some of the questions are about why Ohio State is elevating someone at this young of an age, this little experience. I think he feels that chip a little bit, probably.
Yeah, but who's really? Does anyone even ask those questions?
Someone.
Is it one person?
Well, when
everybody else is all in.
When you ask them, we don't have to ask them. It doesn't have to become an avalanche on top of the guy. But I asked him, out here, I'm like, hey, we always, when you have a young coach, one of the things that gets brought up a lot of times is, oh, this is a good thing for the rapport with your players. You can really identify with your players. You have a connection with those guys. And he admitted there is some of that, but I think there's a fine line you've got to walk because he still has to be the authority in the room. He still is the coach. There is still some just authority that he has to have over that group of guys. He's the one that is entrusted with maximizing their talents, making them better, and helping the team win with what they can do. So I think he's aware of that going in, and I think we've talked about. He was asked about being Urban Meyer's son-in-law and the influence that he's had. He took several questions about that. But I think Urban Meyer can also probably help him maybe keep his head on straight as far as the responsibilities that he has as a young coach and how he probably does have a little bit of something more to prove being as young as he is.
The relationships with the quarterbacks is certainly a thing that came up a lot. Do you have any doubts? We've talked about this. We talked about this on our Buckeye Talk podcast when the hiring was announced. But we just to see the guy do it, and it's hard to judge. I think you can gain something from an interview with a person, from the way they present themselves in public. I think you can gain something about them as a recruiter, how they relate to people, how do they control a room but you can't gain everything, right? I mean, it's like that. Corey Dennis has never been up at the podium talking to a bunch of jackhole reporters before, and he had to do it today. And like he had a time where he forgot a question, whatever. Not today, whenever the day was that we had the interview. What'd you think? Like, did your impression of what you maybe thought of Corey Dennis, was it affected at all by the presentation of Corey Dennis the first time we got to talk to him?
No, not at the podium, just because I think he handled the podium about as well as I think the players, when their first time at the podium, about as well as they would handle it because he is young and that was his first time doing it. I wasn't out here when it was a little more casual, and maybe he was a little better in that setting, in that environment.
Was he better?
Yeah, but I don't know that he was terrible in there. You're talking about just one question where he would just – I forgot a question before I even asked it a couple weeks ago. So.
And you're 40.
I am 41.
That might just be something else happened up there. The synapse is not firing as much. So anyway, go ahead.
That was amazing, by the way. Yeah, I'm more interested in how he's going to handle the backup situation than I am in how he's going to handle being at the podium for the first time. Obviously, he'll get better there, and Justin Fields is going to be what Justin Fields is, and that's more like they have already built a chemistry together, so I don't see an issue with that working. I'm interested in how he's going to handle Jack Miller and C.J. Stroud when they're going to obviously split reps at this backup spot, especially early in the season. But when one goes out there during his reps with the second unit and he plays well, and the other one goes out there with his unit, with the second unit, and he doesn't play well, how does he handle that conversation? How does he handle that in the quarterback's room and in practice? That's what I'm more interested in how he handles Justin Fields, where you're just continuing what you started when you were a quality control guy last season.
I don't know how you couldn't be skeptical. I mean, the guy's never done this before. I mean,
That's fair.
The idea of like, oh, of course he'll be great, like, it's crazy to me. I mean, yes, continuity, and yes, he's learned under Ryan Day. So, I mean, I think the skepticism is warranted. It doesn't mean he's not going to work out. But he's so young. He feels like he could be my kid. I mean, and I can see also how that projects. That could really project in recruiting. That could really project in relationships. I think when you're building a staff, you want to have different type of guys. You want to have like sort of like a Larry Johnson kind of serious, but I'm going to teach you the technique of your position guy. And you want to have a vivacious Kerry Combs kind of guy, and you want to have a fatherly guy, and if Corey Dennis is like the big brother of the coaching staff, I don't think that's a terrible thing. Man, the quarterback's got to play well though, right? I mean, you're not hiding him at tight end. You're not, and I know that Ryan Day is the head coach with quarterback experience, so that is certainly a factor in this. But man, that is just the thing that's interesting to me. Tim Beck arrived here, and that's a dirty word. People who listen to Buckeye Talk arrived here in 2015 to a quarterback battle, to J.T. Barrett and Cardale Jones battling it out, and as complicated as a quarterback battle as you could ever have. And he didn't have any knowledge of what had happened before when they won the national title with both of them. And he basically was like, I don't know. And like Urban kind of had to decide it. And they did, in a complicated situation, they did not have a strong voice in that quarterback room because he was new. And I think he was trying to not offend anybody. And the 2015 quarterback situation was a wreck as a result. Corey Dennis has a year before they're going to face that. Everybody knows who the quarterback is. He's got to handle this backup battle, right, which then becomes the starting battle in 2021. So he has a year to get his feet under him, but I think the real test is, I think we all agree, the real test for Corey Dennis as a quarterback's coach is next year. This year might be pretty easy because it's like, oh, Justin Fields, you're good. You could probably coach Justin Fields.
I could not coach Justin Fields, but it's easy until, again, we never like to speak it into existence, but if something goes wrong, I mean, this isn't just a 2021 situation with the quarterbacks. They both got to be ready to be really good this fall.
Some people would say you need to have 4 starting quarterbacks.
I think you have to have 2.
But as long as Justin Fields is your guy, Justin Fields is sort of like, he's baked. They've pulled him out of the oven. You're not stirring the ingredients in there. CJ Stroud and Jack Miller are all ingredients right now. And it's just going to be like, this is going to come to a head very quickly. Assuming Justin Fields is healthy, it's not this year, but it's next year. And if somehow they aren't ready, then we're going to know something about Corey Dennis. If they are ready, and the winner if in 2021 Jack Miller or CJ Stroud takes the field and looks like a world beater, I will give Corey Dennis all the credit in the world. But until that happens, I'm going to be a little skeptical about it. Nathan, Steven, Doug, we got texts, $3.99 a month. Go to cleveland.com to check that out. We got a podcast, and we got these videos. And what else do we do? Oh, we write stories, too. See ya.